You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 368 for Sunday, the 4th of July, 2021.
Where dreams begin.
Well, hello and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls podcast. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my jolly good chum Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Now, this week is a little bit different, a little bit special. Unfortunately, Jane is up to her eyeballs in moving things in a garage. I didn't go into too much detail about that with her. So I am flying solo, but I have with me a very, very wonderful lady who is very close to my heart because she makes the magic happen for me. And she has been to Walt Disney World recently and she's going to share her love for that. She's also my Disney travel agent, so I absolutely love the advice she gives. So hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls, Christine Surh.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
You are very, very welcome because I've been wanting to do this for quite a while and it's been down to scheduling and one thing and another, but we've got there and we're doing it and we're going to talk some Disney.
Yes, my favorite topic.
Oh, absolutely. So for those of you who have not come across the wonderful Christine before in her fabulous social media outlets that she has on Facebook or Instagram, etc., why don't you start from the beginning and tell us a little bit about your Disney, when you first went, where you've been, and how you got to be a Disney travel agent, which to me must seem to be the ideal job.
Sure. So really, my love for Disney started when I was very young. My grandparents got me into it really through drive-in movies. That was how I was introduced to Disney through the films. And then as a child, I really only went twice, once with my grandparents and then once as a big family trip when I was maybe a teenager. And then when I came to the realization in my early 20s that I could go and do this on my own, that's when I started doing it more.
So you mentioned about go on your own. Do you do a lot of trips as a solo traveler?
I've actually started doing solo trips more recently. It kind of came about because a few years ago, my husband had a work event and they were staying at the Grand Floridian and I had an annual pass. So I decided to join, and because he was busy all day, I did the parks on my own for about 3 days. And I was a little nervous about it, doing it at first, and then once I got into it, I was like, oh yes, I like this. I can do what I want when I like, and I don't have to. I feel like I end up playing tour guide most of the time when I'm there with other people, kind of managing the day, which goes with my personality anyway, but it was nice to not have to worry about what anybody else wanted to do and just do my own thing.
Fantastic. So how did you morph that from being a fan of the parks to actually taking that leap into being a travel agent? Because for us in the UK, a travel agent is something that is a basically 9 to 5 type job, 6 days a week. So it's very different in the United States. So can you just help us understand that a little bit better?
Sure. So actually my first career that I've been doing for over 25 years is a special education teacher. And in the past 12 years, I started doing it more part-time and working in kids' homes and making my own schedule. So it did offer me the flexibility to try to go into something different. And I always loved Disney. And I actually came to MEI, which is the agency that I'm affiliated with, through running. I started running on Team All Ears, and we had several members of the team that were agents with MEI. And so it was kind of encouraged. I'd always booked the trips on my own, and it was kind of encouraged for us to, kind of give them our business, which I did. And then kind of seeing the process as a client, I kept saying, oh, I could do this. I could definitely do this. I love planning. So I just decided to go for it. And it really has fit so well. I mean, I do mostly Disney, but I can do pretty much anything else. And because I can work anytime, anywhere, as long as I have my laptop and internet connection, it's really been a good fit for me in terms of still being able to teach part-time and grow my travel business, with the hope being that once I am ready to retire completely from teaching, I'll have a good base of a travel business going, which COVID didn't help that, but we're rebuilding.
I was just going to hit on that topic. Obviously, the last 18 months has been awful for the travel industry. And I know from my experience of dealing with yourself about how to cancel and dealing with all of that, You say that you're rebuilding now, things are looking on the up?
Yeah, there definitely was a surge sort of in the beginning of this year with people, seeing like vaccines are being available and thinking that travel would be possible. So there was kind of a surge in the beginning. But just in general, the travel kind of ebbs and flows, and busier times and slower times. But I think a big hurdle to get over will be cruises sailing successfully. I think that's a thing that's kind of a wait and see right now. But the parks are definitely exciting, and we're all anxious for more rooms to open up because the end of this year is really tight to get rooms. There's not much availability right now through the end of 2021. I think with the 50th anniversary coming and people being ready to travel, it's quite busy.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a trip planned. Tell us a little bit about how you came to choose the 2 different accommodations that you did, and then perhaps you can just walk us through a little bit about what it was like to stay there.
Sure. So I had originally planned a set of dates and booked the Caribbean Beach resort, and then decided to add on a few more days, and so I decided to make it two resort stay. And I actually had booked All Star Movies really because it was inexpensive, and then about 2 weeks before I was ready to travel, I got an email that I needed to call guest services about my reservation, which I did. And the cast member said that they were going to offer me an upgrade from All Star Movies to Caribbean Beach. And honestly, I would have taken it, but my first reaction was, oh, I'm already staying at Caribbean Beach the second half of my stay, and I kind of wanted to do 2 resorts. So the cast member put me on hold. And then he came back and he said, well, I have something to offer you that I don't think you're going to turn down. He's like, how about you get a complimentary upgrade to the Grand Floridian for those 3 nights? Well, yes, absolutely. I will take that upgrade. So,
I can just imagine you turning around and saying, no, I will not be upgraded to your flagship resort. I do not want to go there. I want to go to Pop Century, please. Oh, my word, what an amazing opportunity for you.
I know. I've complained for so many years that I've never gotten upgraded ever at all the years that I've been staying there. So this was like the ultimate upgrade from All Star Movies to the Grand Floridian for 3 nights.
Wowzers.
Yeah, yes. So so I started my trip at the Grand Floridian. I have been fortunate enough to stay there before. Being that close to Magic Kingdom is awesome. I mean, you're 1 monorail stop away. And now the new walkway has opened up, which I did take an opportunity to try on the way back. I kind of feel like it's so close on the monorail to just go 1 stop that that should be your preferred way to go to get to the Magic Kingdom. But then on the way back, and I get that you possibly are tired and don't really feel like walking, but it was a very nice walk back. I would say it took me about a little over 15 minutes, but I was not really trying to go fast, and I stopped and took some photos along the way, and it's a very easy walk. So I think maybe at the end of the night when things are crowded and transportation options might be crowded, the walkway is definitely a good way to go.
Because you can quite easily waste more than 15 minutes at the end of the park day.
Oh, absolutely. Or especially if you're leaving, once fireworks get going, if you're leaving at the end of an event like that, it's often crowded to get on the ferry or on the monorail. So yeah, anytime I can walk, that's always my preference.
Is it fairly well lit for nighttime walking as well?
Yes, it is it's very well lit. It's a nice wide path, easy for strollers. It's pretty much flat. There's a little incline where you're going to go over a small bridge on the waterway there. But yeah, easy walk.
Fantastic. So what facilities did you manage to take use of while you were in the Grand Floridian?
Well, my favorite thing I did was I had dinner at the Enchanted Rose Lounge. I actually was so happy that I went early because it was actually quite busy when I left, and I took note that every time I came back to the resort, there was always a wait. There was always people waiting outside for it, and understandably, it has a somewhat limited capacity right now, or it did when I was there. But still, I made sure I was there a little bit after 5 o'clock, which is when they start serving food because they are open a little bit earlier. Oh my goodness, it was so wonderful. They have many unique cocktails. And not a huge food selection, but still it was amazing. I had just the cheese board and some brisket sliders. Both were so good.
Oh, That sounds perfect. Just up my alley. A nice big cheese board. What cocktail or beverage did you manage to enjoy?
I had the lavender fog, and I am trying to see if I can pull up what was in it because
Ooh.
each one is so unique. And it's a traditional bar, so if you don't want to, step out and try something adventurous, you could do that as well.
That sounds so good. Something different, because it sort of, if you see something on the menu and it's only available at one place, it makes you sort of like, oh, I've got to go there. Whereas like Dole Whip now, you can get it in so many different places. It takes away that specialness, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Absolutely. And even the lounge itself, it's themed for Beauty and the Beast. The chandelier is made to look like Belle's yellow gown. There is a library area that when I first arrived, that was sectioned off. When I left, it was open for seating. But that area has some different not artifacts, but like things that represent the Beauty and the Beast, the live action movie, Mrs. Potts and Lumiere. But I didn't get to go into that area.
All I can say is Disney do more like this in other resorts, because the theming is what sets Disney apart. And when you're losing so many things as being a Disney resort guest, i.e., the ability to book fast passes, it's quite tempting to stay off-site and not stay in a Disney hotel. So having little things on tap like a fantastic bar kind of make you want to stay in the resort, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So I do have the lavender fog. So it has gin and English breakfast tea, vanilla, and cream.
Ooh.
Yes.
That sounds really good. Was it quite a rich cocktail?
It was kind of light. I wouldn't say it was sweet, but it wasn't super dry. So I don't know. It was just so unique, and yeah, it was wonderful.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the decor, the room, etc. Because I know Jane and I on the podcast have been a little bit critical of the Grand Floridian just being in need of refurbishment a little bit. How did you take it?
Yeah, I will be honest. I think it could use an upgrade. I think the rooms could use some love. I mean, I didn't have any issues. Everything was clean. Everything was very nice. But yeah, I think those are some rooms that haven't seen some love in a while and could probably use some.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about the Grand Floridian before we go on to your second location?
No, I mean, I think the convenience you can't beat of the location for that.
Fantastic. Right, second location then, Caribbean Beach, which is a nice sort of place that people tend to go to if they can't quite manage the luxurious end of a Grand Floridian, but also want something just a little bit more zhuzhy than pop. And you've also got the Skyliner over there as well.
Yes. I mean, to me, Caribbean Beach is the place to be for the Skyliner. It's the hub for the Skyliners. So even if you're coming from Pop, you do have to get off there at the hub to switch Skyliner routes to get where you want to go. So being at the hub is a huge plus. And again, I think Caribbean Beach also hasn't gotten a lot of love in the past just as a resort itself. And the rooms definitely could use some upgrading. It's also quite a large resort. So choosing your area where you want to stay, making a request for a certain location, I think is key, because you could be a pretty decent walking distance to get anywhere. I've got it down to a science there now. This is the second or third time I've stayed there since the Skyliner has been open. So if you stay in the Jamaica, Aruba areas, you are pretty much equal walking distance to the main area of Caribbean Beach, to the Skyliner, and to the Riviera.
And this is again why you need somebody who knows what they're doing in charge of your booking, because that can save you a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends too on what is important to you. Like, it is important to me to get to all three of those areas, because I did plan to go over to the Riviera a couple times during the trip. So if the Riviera is not important to you, you could choose a different area and be a little bit closer to the Skyliner. But I like being central and being able to get anywhere I want to go within 5 to 7 minutes of walking.
Okay. Did you eat or drink anything or use any of the facilities at Caribbean Beach?
I didn't this time. I just did quick service breakfast a couple of times there. But yeah, Sebastian's is the table service there that is about to reopen, but it wasn't open at this time, and I have not been able to eat there previously. So that is something that's on my list to do.
I have heard so many amazing things about that place. So
Me
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out if one future travel you manage to get there, and we'll have to talk again about
Oh,
it.
yes. I have a September trip planned, and we're actually going to be staying at the Riviera for the first time, but I actually plan to walk over to Caribbean Beach to try out Sebastian's.
Oh, fantastic. So in between all of this hotel and lounge time, you did actually go into the theme park. So
Yes.
would you like to share some highlights of your theme park days?
Sure. So one thing I did my first full day there, and I wanted to make sure I did it early in the trip. I had 9 park days on this trip. Was I did 4 parks in one day for the first time ever.
Fantastic. Did you set yourself a challenge or a criteria, or why did you want to do something so mad, especially during COVID times where you can't park hop from 2 o'clock?
Yes. So that was the challenge, was not being able to park hop until 2. So it's something that no one else would ever want to do with me. So going solo was a good opportunity. My criteria was 1 attraction and 1 food item in each, and a photo with the park icon in each park. So I started off at Animal Kingdom because it opened up the earliest, and I was able to be there pretty much most of the day because I couldn't park hop until 2. So it was easy to knock off several attractions, and I actually went to the Nomad Lounge there for the first time for my food and had a bit of a early lunch before I started off on all the hopping.
And can I just digress? Amazing or what?
Amazing and super, super popular. I feel like it was a hidden gem, and it's not so hidden any longer.
Busy lines?
Yeah, I knew it opened at 11, and I wanted to pretty much be there at 11. But I also love the bird show there at Animal Kingdom. So I did the bird show at 10:30, knowing I would get out a little bit before 11, figuring I could scoot right over to the Nomad Lounge and get in with not a problem. And by the time I got there a little bit after 11, I had envisioned like sitting outside and being able to watch the floating characters go by with my nice cocktail. And the only thing that was available was for me to sit at the bar because it was full. I recommend, if you're going to go there, go when it opens at 11. They do have the option for a wait up list on the app now. You can actually pull up the app and see it and add your name to a wait list. I'm not sure when that kicks in, as opposed to just going on and seeing if there's any availability or a standard wait, but that is an option now to try to use that wait feature on the app.
Okay, top tip on the Nomad Lounge. And I must admit, that bird show, oh my word, it is just so sensational.
I love it. I love it, and I hate to say this, but I really hope they don't bring back the Up characters. Like, it's just so much better when it's just the birds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I can go meet Doug and Russell wherever I want later on in the park, but, you know, to be able to get up close and personal to such amazing animals that have been trained, but trained in a way that they want to participate, because if they don't want to fly to that trainer, they won't do it.
Agreed. I actually did it twice this trip, and on the one time I did it, they actually came out about 10 minutes before the show started and did a little mini training session so you could kind of see how they train the birds to do things. So it was pretty cool.
Got to love a little bit of Animal Kingdom in the trip planning, and I think you're wise going early, because later on in the day it does get a little bit warm.
Yes, it can get pretty toasty there.
So let's stick to your 4 parks in a day, but I do have questions about Animal Kingdom. I want to come back to you later.
Sure.
Where did you hit as park number 2?
I did Magic Kingdom next. So if anyone wants to take on the challenge of park hopping, I left the park started walking out at about 1:30 and did find quite some hefty bus lines to start park hopping. They do start the buses at about 1:30. And it was pretty busy in the bus area because you can take buses directly to the next park. I waited a good 10-15 minutes and still no bus had come to the Magic Kingdom. I toyed with the idea of an Uber, but I felt like I was kind of committed at that point. And by the time I walked over to get an Uber, it might not have really saved me any time. Mm-hmm. A bus did come, and there are limited capacity on the bus, or there was at the time that I was there. So I was a little bit concerned that I might not even get on that bus, but I did. So, and that was really the most time consuming transition I had during the day. Yeah, so I went to the Magic Kingdom next, and I had been there the day before, so I really was just going in to do the attraction and have a snack. And actually, the snack I had is something that I just saw on your Instagram. I had the Kakamora float.
How good?
Oh, so good. Yeah, really yummy.
It's one of those snacks that looks good but tastes good, because there's so many of Disney snacks that are just there for Instagram.
Yes. Yeah, really good. I'll admit, I think the chocolate cake pop is kind of an odd combination with the coconut and pineapple, but it tastes good, so it's all good. Yeah, definitely get Kakamora float. It has to be on your list.
And where can that be picked up in the Magic Kingdom?
That's at Aloha Isle, which is also where you can get the Dole Whip. And everything right now is mobile order, but if it ever goes back to standby as an option, I totally recommend mobile order. So I feel like I've like perfected the mobile order. I actually did Small World as my attraction, and as soon as I came off of Small World, I ordered the float, and I started walking towards Aloha Isle, and when I was about halfway there, I hit on the app that I'm here, so they start like making your float. So then you get there, and then you just go pick it up.
Perfect. And a top tip on the way. So you got your picture with the icon. So Hollywood
Yep.
Studios or Epcot, which did you plump for?
I did Studios next, and I was definitely watching my time and wanted to make sure I had enough time to do all four, with the parks closing a little bit earlier than typical. Epcot was open the latest, so I did Studios. I did Mickey's Railway for my attraction. Oh, I went to Woody's Lunchbox, and I had the grilled cheese sandwich and tater tots. And I also was able to get in a second attraction on Toy Story Mania because it was only like a 20-minute wait.
That's good.
Yeah, none of the wait times were really terrible. I'm willing to do. I love Mickey's Railway. I think it's so much fun, and I'll do that anytime I see that wait is 30 minutes or less. I'm there. So yeah, I just love that ride.
Perfect. Let's move on then. So your finale park was Epcot.
Yep, and pretty easy to get there on the Skyliner. So I went over to Epcot. It was a Saturday, and it is Flower and Garden Festival, and with all the food booths, I knew the food booth area in the international section was going to be busy. So I actually came off the Skyliner and went towards Future World, but I happened to hit the honey booth on my way by. And so that was my food item. I had the honey mascarpone cheesecake and the corn spoon bread that was drizzled with honey. Super good, both of them. I'm not really a heat person when it comes to food, and there was jalapenos in the cornbread, but it wasn't too spicy for me. You could definitely taste them, but not too spicy, and the cheesecake was delicious.
When is cheesecake bad?
Very true, very true. For my attractions there, Journey into Imagination with Figment was a walk-on, so I did that. And on my way out of the park, Spaceship Earth was also a walk-on. So 2 attractions there, and I got to see the new entrance plaza on my way out.
So what do you think to the entrance plaza?
I like the moving of the legacy tiles kind of out of the way. I did not actually take notice to where they were. I didn't seek them out, and they weren't obvious as to where they had gone to. I might feel differently if I had one of those legacy tiles, but I don't. I like the crystal kind of sculpture in the middle of the fountain. And I was leaving, and it was sunset, so I got some pretty nice pictures there. I think it's pretty. I'm actually so many times now I come in from the international gateway because I use the Skyliner. So I think I need to like come in from the front and see what it looks like as you enter, instead of just being on my way out.
Okay. And what time did you finish off at Epcot?
It was 12 hours start to finish, so maybe a little bit after 8 o'clock.
That's not too ridiculous to do 4 parks in one day at all.
It wasn't. I think I was really like focused, and I just did what I needed to do, except for having the big chunk of time at Animal Kingdom in the beginning of the day. I kind of did what I needed to do, and and then moved on to the next park. So I walked 8 miles in total, but I've had days that I've walked a lot more than that at parks. So I think it was a reasonable day.
It sounds a lot of fun, and I love these little challenges, particularly if you're there for a longer period of time like you were on this trip, that you have the luxury of doing these. I suppose if people are only going for like 3-4 days, it doesn't really give you the opportunity to do them. So
absolutely.
I know we did the character meets, an attraction, and an iconic piece of food. And that worked out really well for us, but that was pre-COVID times, so we didn't have the restriction of waiting in park till 12. So that sort of helped us, but we ended up spending so much time in the Magic Kingdom on that day because it was such good fun.
Great. I mean, the transportation is the hopping is the part that takes you the longest.
Yeah. So during your 9 days of park time, I gather you did something that I've never had a guest on the show talk about, and this is a photo shoot. So where was the inspiration for this? How did you book? And what was the experience like?
So the reason I did it was I'm a big Run Disney fan, and I've done many Run Disney races, and obviously the races were virtual this year. I had been signed up for the princess races in person, and then they went virtual. And then when I was not signed up for any of the marathon weekend races, but when they did go virtual, I had the brainstorm idea to do the Dopey Challenge, which, if anyone doesn't know, it's a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, 4 days, each day, 4 days in a row. As much as I enjoy running, speed is not my strong suit. Endurance, I'm all for endurance, not for speed. So it's challenging for me to do the longer distances in Disney because of the pace requirement. So it was a good idea to me to do Dopey when I could do it at my own pace, because being virtual, you just do it around wherever you want to do it. You're on your own. So I decided that I would do both of those challenges and then take all of my medals, which Disney mails to you, down to Disney to get photos in front of the castle like you would do if you had done the races there in person. So I did bring my princess medals with me, but I took photos with them just with a regular PhotoPass photographer during my trip. And I saved the Dopey medals to do what they call the Capture Your Moment photo experience.
Okay, so how did you manage to book this?
Yeah, so you can book it 60 days in advance. At the time that I booked it, you had to call, and you actually had to call the Disney dining phone number in order to book it. But now it is available for you to book online, just as you would book a dining reservation. So it's 60 days in advance. You can do it for the Magic Kingdom, and you can do it for Animal Kingdom now as well. It's $50 for 20 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it really was plenty of time. And you have one Disney PhotoPass photographer all to yourself for those 20 minutes. At the check-in, they asked me if I was celebrating anything, and I sort of explained what I was doing so that my photographer knew when I met up with her exactly what we were doing. You also have a second Disney PhotoPass photographer that stays with you as sort of an assistant, and she was great at like making sure, like coming up with ideas of different poses, and she also kind of shoos other guests away who think that this is an opportunity for them to sort of stand online for this PhotoPass person because they are dressed like typical PhotoPass people. And she also shooed away people from behind me. So when I was standing on the runway down from the castle, she was motioning for people to get out of the way. So there was no one behind me for the castle pictures.
That is something that really, really annoys me. You've got that wonderful moment, and then you've got somebody in the background picking their nose or with their mouth open, chewing, and you're there with this amazing collection of medals, and then you look at your pictures and there's a 3-year-old with the finger stuck all the way up to the brain, or you've got someone with a big mouthful of hot dog, and it just ruins the picture. So that, to me, is well worth the money.
It was so worth it. And I've never heard anything bad about any of the photographers that you get, but they really talk to you and see what you want. So I had said that the only photo that I absolutely wanted was the one where you put all 6 medals across your arm, in front of the castle. And I said, after that, I'm open to whatever you think. So in the end, she took over 40 photographs, and she did take the photo with me with all the medals across my arm. And that actually is one of my least favorite photos, because the other ones were just, so great with what she thought of. And like, she had me stick my tongue out like Dopey, and she had me hold like my 2 favorite medals or my 1 favorite medal and do different things with them, act like I was running out of the castle. When you actually meet your photographer in the little theater that's off to your right when you come into Magic Kingdom, next to Tony's.
Mm-hmm.
And on the side there's a little garden area, which I didn't know anything about. And she was like, let's go there first. And she took wonderful photos over there. And then before we went down to the castle. So even though 20 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time, it was plenty of time. And if you really are concerned, you can book 2 of those sessions back to back, so you have 40 minutes.
Oh, so you could maybe go to a different part of the park and have a different experience as well over there. Maybe a quick change of outfit.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they say you can do up to 3 locations within your 20 minutes, which we did. We did the gardens. We did a little spot like under the side turrets on the right side of the castle, and then we went over to the runway as you coming outside of the castle. So yeah, we did 3 locations. Your travel time walking down from Tony's down to the castle, that's all part of your 20 minutes. So I wasn't sure it was going to work, but yeah, it was plenty of time. So I actually plan to do the Animal Kingdom one in September, so I can try that one out too.
And please, please, please share some pictures with us so we can put
Sure.
them on our blog so that people can see the amazing shots that you were able to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds so fab, does that? You mentioned that the rose garden, did they actually let you go over the barrier into the actual rose bit itself, or were you just sort of this side of the right side of the barriers?
Yeah, not over the barriers. We used like the railing there. Like I was leaning against the railing for some of them, and they have a little looks like a chalkboard, but it's magnetic letters, and you can put whatever saying you might want to put on that. So I wasn't expecting that, so I wasn't prepared to what I might like that to say. So I was a little unsure at first, and then the photographer said, well, what if we put Dopey Challenge on there? So that's what my photos in the garden area and some over by the castle, I'm holding the little board that says Dopey Challenge.
And remind us of how much it costs again?
It's $50.
That to me is a steal if you want to have some really nice pictures.
Yeah, so what you get for the photos, just so people realize, is you get digital access to all the photos. If you have Memory Maker, then you really do get digital access to all the photos. You can download them without any watermark on them. If you don't have Memory Maker, then it could be costly because you would be paying for each individual download. Mm-hmm. So I would just recommend that if you're going to do the photo thing, just purchase Memory Maker, because the $170, not only will you have all of those photos, you'll have your photos for your whole trip, and you'll want so many of those photos from the PhotoPass experience that it'll be worth your money to get the Memory Maker. I currently have an annual pass, so that's included for me. So I knew I was getting all of the photos.
Yeah, and I know us in the UK, when we buy our tickets, we do get normally Memory Maker as built in. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
that's a really big perk.
Yeah, when that came out as a perk for annual pass, I was like, what am I going to do with that? And now it's like my favorite thing ever. And next year, I don't think I'm going to be renewing my pass, because I'm going to do some different Disney trips that aren't going to be in Florida. And I was like, I'm going to miss my Memory Maker. I'm like, I really enjoy that.
I can see baby announcements, weddings. I can see anniversary photo shoots. I know you can't turn up in your wedding dress for them, but if you want to propose to somebody, you can just sort of pretend you're just having a normal photo shoot, and kabow, you have got
absolutely
staged pictures. How wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I gather there's one more thing that you really want to speak to us about. that you were able to experience for the very first time, which I know our airwaves have been in meltdown mode about this particular place?
Are we speaking about Gideon's?
We are indeed.
Yes. Yes, I was ready to try some Gideon's, and it's a little bit of a process because it's a very small store, and I'm not sure if I think the virtual queue was in effect even pre-COVID, but I can't swear to that. So it is a virtual queue, and what you do, I actually arrived in Disney Springs at the kind of far end of it, near the Christmas shop, but I knew about the virtual queue. So I walked straight through until I got to Gideon's, and you meet a staff person outside, give them your cell phone number, and you are entered in the virtual queue. And they did give me an estimate of about 3 hour wait, which was fine because I was going to be doing some other things and shopping. So you just give your cell phone number. They send you a text just to make sure that it went through and you're on the list. And I went about my day, did some shopping and whatnot, and then you get the text that it's your turn. So you go back, you check in, and then there's a little bit of a queue outside. It took me maybe 10, 15 minutes to get inside. And then you get inside, and they have these huge cookies that I think are supposed to weigh about half a pound, and they have cake slices. So I already knew because, I'm obsessed and I look at Disney food pictures constantly all the time. So I knew exactly that I wanted the original chocolate chip cookie that has a little bit of sea salt on top of it and is just covered with chocolate chips, and the slice of red velvet cake.
Oh, were they good?
Oh my goodness. It's super good. I actually enjoyed the cake slice a little bit more than the cookie. I do like sweet, but I don't like super, super sweet, and it's really sweet. It's a lot. So I actually took both things back to my hotel room and then just each night nibbled a little bit on each. So it took me about 5 nights before I finished everything. And it held up very well. Like I didn't have like a Ziploc bag or anything fancy to put them in, to store them while I was nibbling on them. But yeah, the cake was just it was so good, so moist. The cream cheese frosting, not overly sweet. Yeah, highly recommend. Totally worth the whole virtual queue experience.
Did you manage to get a beverage from there, or did you just want to have something to eat?
I didn't, and I kind of could kick myself that I didn't get that peanut butter cold brew that everyone raves about.
September.
Yes, absolutely. September.
Well, that sounds to me that it was an absolute perfect trip. We're going to talk a little bit more a bit later on. So if you want some more info from Christine, please stay listened and you'll be able to find that out. But if people want to contact you for some wonderful advice and help with booking a Disney or anywhere trip, where can they get hold of you, please?
Sure. On Instagram, I am Vacations by Christine. And then on Facebook, I'm Christine Surh, Surh, Vacation Planner. And you can contact me on either of those locations. My email address is kind of long, so I think those two spots are probably the easiest spot to find me.
Perfect. And we'll link all that up on our show notes over at DisneyDreamGirls.com. So there's plenty of ways that you can reach out to Christine and get the ball rolling on your next trip. If you want to contact the Disney Dream Girls, you can reach us at DisDreamGirls on Instagram and Twitter. We can be emailed info@DisneyDreamGirls.com. We also have our additional content over on our Patreon channel, patreon.com/Disney Dream Girls. But until next time, it's a goodbye from Christine.
Goodbye. Thanks for having me.
And a goodbye from me.